Hi everyone, my name is Costa Pitar, and welcome to another video from our ARIS Prism Challenges and Solutions video series, where today we're going to be addressing one of the common challenges in the project controls world or commercial world as well, and it's about producing cash flow forecasts. So let me share my screen and let's start addressing the topic. So, like I said, a common challenge or request really also from the commercial or the finance teams every month. They need a cash flow report. They want to see what are they going to be paying for the rest of the year or for the rest of the project. And there are different factors that come into play. So it's not just about, yes, just generating a rough numbers based on what's going to be invoiced. It's also taking into account the advance payment, taking into account the payment terms, right? Well, when are we going to pay? 30 days or 60 days or 90 days or 45 days after an invoice is received. How much money are we going to retain each invoice? Is it going to be a retention? When are we going to release that retention? And how much? What is the percentage of that retention, right? So there are different factors. And you could have different contracts on the same project, right? So it's not just one global settings. Also, you need to take into account historic payments that have taken place and the current payments versus the forecast or the earlier forecast. So how does the system take all this into account and respread it, right? We need, is it possible in the first place? We have hundreds and thousands of records. Are we going to do this manually? Hopefully not. And this is what we're going to explore now. So let's explore the feature. So to start the feature, first of all, to enable it, we're going to need to go to the settings. That's going to happen by the super users. Okay, so that's not a day-to-day user thing. By the settings, you're going to enable the cash flow feature, the checkbox. And here you have the option whether to make it one set of global settings for all the project, meaning all contracts in the project will follow the same global settings or parameters, or you could just have set up the global parameter, the default, and then each package can have its own setting, which makes sense. That's what I have here. Now in the settings itself, here I have a cash flow tab. Here I'm defining that, okay, I have a payment terms of 2 periods in this case, so that's 60 days. So after every invoice, I have 60 days. That's 60 days I'll be paying, so after 2 months. I could set up a percentage for the advance payment and specify when is that going to be paid. And I could even set up a value for the retention. So how much are we retaining every period and when are we going to release it back after the project completion? This example, I'm saying after the project completion in 180 days. Okay. Another quick thing that we need to just double check is in the control elements, make sure that your cost element that you choose is enabled for cash flow. Okay, so those are 2 quick steps that you do up front in the project. That's it. Now, how do we spread the cash flow every month? It's very, very simple. Under the costs menu, I have the spread time phase data option, which we will talk about more thoroughly in another video. And I'm just going to spread the cash flow, taking historic payments and current payments into account. So that's it. I'm just going to click on these 2 buttons, checkboxes, and assuming that I already have defined a curve for my actuals already. If not, here you can define a default curve if there is no curve defined. So it could be middle loaded, front loaded, even loaded, and so on. They're different. We're going to talk about this in another video. For this, in this example, I'm just assuming a middle shaped curve. And I'm just going to make sure that my actuals are also going to be spread, right? So this is what is being invoiced. Okay. Done. I've spread my cash flow. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at what happened. So let me take an example. Going to go down. Select something here. Let's go for procurement. And I'm going to the time phased costs. And here we can see every period over time. So here I can see that this particular account finishes in July. So my actuals or my invoicing is going to finish in July. But remember that the cash flow was 2 months after, so 2 periods. So 1, 2, August, September. And if you remember, we said that we're going to release 5% of what we've been retaining after 180 days. So 180 days after July will be in January. So this is when I'm going to release it back. And if you notice here the values, so this 44,000, and these are all getting based on what's been invoiced. And then it's taking into account the historic actuals or the retention. What am I retaining? Let's look at another example here. The invoice came at 105. After 2 months, I have a cash flow of 100. If you look at that, this is 95% of the value. Why? Because 5% of the value has been retained. And again, we are releasing after 6 months. So here in August, but in February, we're going to be releasing the 5%. Now, if I want to look at this on a report, I could always go to the cost reports. Or I could just go to the dashboards to get the fancier graphic. But here, this is a quick forecast, just comparing the actuals versus the cash flow. And I can just run that quick report to compare. And I can see here how the actual spread over time, but notice how the cash flow comes later, right? Because it's going to be released later. Also, I wanted to show that every account can have its own parameters, like we said. So either it takes the default settings, or if that particular package had something else, had 3 periods, let's say, then I respread it accordingly. So this is the flexibility. That was it. That was a very, very quick process. So what is the solution really in the system is that first you have the ability to set up those parameters globally in a project and individually for different packages. Secondly, you're able to capture the actual payments and capture historic actual payments as well. These actual payments are taken into account as part of the cash flow forecast. So actually what I didn't show you also was one of those examples actually had an actual, here I had a payment of 15,000 as a cash flow. If you look at the time-phased cost, we notice here that 15,000 actually came in. So it will take what is the actual payment and then it respreads whatever is remaining. So that again, so you have the ability to produce a cash flow forecast against those defined parameters. And finally, from that, you're able to generate cash flow forecast reports, whether in the tool itself, I mean, of course, fancier graphics and charts in our Prism dashboards, and compare it against the invoiced amounts or other amounts as well, as we've seen. That was it. I hope you found this useful. If you have any questions, the website is on the screen, isprism.com. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.